Welcome to another episode of Bosses in Action. Today we've got Christopher VanderValk. Chris, do you go by Chris or Christopher?
Chris.
All right, so much easier, dude. And
Everyone
he
says
works.
Christopher, and I'm always like, oh, that's weird. I'm not used to hearing it.
Dude, I know.
I'd probably update my Facebook. That would.
I was going to say that. You need to change it on social.
It's a good way to know who already knows me and who's reaching. It's like a filter system. If they say Christopher, I'm like, we've never talked. Second priority. If you say Chris, you probably already knew me.
Wait, but what does your mother call you?
Christopher.
Oh, there you go, dude.
So
I like that. That's so good. Well, look, man, you work with the Whissel team out in San Diego, and they're a pretty amazing team. You're their COO. Can you tell me what that entails first, and then we'll get right into it?
Yeah, so basically my job, we call it COO Integrator. We use EOS, and that's what we run on. My job is to let Kyle do what Kyle's always done really well, and that's think of the best idea, come up with the best solution, whether that's tech, people, in business endeavor, whatever that is, and boil it down into an integratable solution that we can deploy to the company at the right time. So as we've grown, his job had to be both visionary and integrator, and now we're at a certain size that if he's integrating and coming up with ideas, the people below him started to be really kind of rocking from left to right, from one idea to the next, which I think any business you get to that point. So it finally made sense for him to let's stay in that, let's not kill creativity. And my job is to basically filter down the people's communication upwards towards him, and also his ideas downwards towards them, to kind of be an intermediary between the two.
I love that, dude. Well, you're definitely here because you're the integrator, and we want to talk about that because you really manage a whole bunch of tech here. And I want to see how it works with Follow Up Boss and how it also works individually. Like if you could just tell me at a high level, what's the tech that your team uses on a daily basis that makes everything run? What comes to mind, like 2, 3, 4, or just
Yeah,
one?
so I would say, and my biggest goal from this is obviously everyone's not at the same business level, but I think there's common themes that can come out of where each of us are at. I know when I'm coming up is I had my own real estate team. I would see people like Kyle out there talking, and I'm like, well, what do? I mean, I don't have that resource, or I don't have. So I want to make sure this stays with that, and because it is very possible, and that's how we boiled it down. Is for us, Follow Up Boss is our source of truth. That is my common denominator now that we moved over. Is does it integrate with Follow Up Boss? If not naturally, can it? At least for our agents, I want the agents to live. Obviously, they have the MLS and they have showing time, and they have to do some things outside of it. But most of all, I want them to live in the Follow Up Boss lead page. That ecosystem is their home base. And so that is our number one. And everything we add onto it is, does it integrate with Follow Up Boss? So we use Mojo for calling and prospecting outside leads that aren't yet in the database. So like expired, canceled FSBOs, circle prospecting for open houses. A lot of our agents are using that. And then Sisu. Sisu is very important for us. So we've integrated that. Jeff over at Osiris, as well as Daniel for us over at Data Help, they can make those two talk for us. That's how we're measuring performance and metrics of the business. So more of our agent-facing stuff, and where are you at month to date based on the goals that you set, and that's where we're pulling all of our dashboards really for performances. And then call action. Call action is, I would say, if I could put one into call action Follow Up Boss, if I could put it there and make sense, I'd put it above Follow Up Boss just because of how much work it does passively. But call action, our inside sales team, 100% of our leads go through call action in order to qualify. And 3 or 4 others. Monday.com, we use that for more of our anything Google Sheets related or project management. That's more of an admin focus though. Our agents do not touch Monday. Back to the original thing. I want our agents is sole focused inside of FUB as possible so they can do what they do best. And that's, signing contracts and building relationships with customers.
All right, well, tell me a little bit more about that so we understand how the agents work on the team. Are there different levels of agents? Are there ones that get leads directly through call action? Are there ones that only work the database? What does that look like?
Yeah, good question. So we used to do it where we kind of had lead flows going to everyone else, but we have a really robust inside sales model. And so for us, anything that we generate as a company, whether that be paid spent or just organic from the community outreach and things that we do, all leads flow into our inside sales department. That team and division for us, their main job is to create opportunities from those leads that we get and pump them out as appointments. Anything more than 90-day business goes back to that inside sales department. So that is the core focus of our business now. Everything really channels through them. Now, there's a couple exceptions like Zillow Flex, or if, for the people that have that, or for us, we pay, is Zillow connection calls. Those go direct to agent because we know it gives a better consumer experience. OpCity is another one that goes direct to our agents. And then again, if it's more than 90-day business, we bring it back to our inside sales team. They work and nurture that relationship via call action. Our agents actually don't use call action right now. We just use it for our inside sales. And then they pump those opportunities back to the agents as appointments. So for our agent, keeps it really clean. They don't have to memorize Zillow versus Realtor versus this. It's an ISA appointment that wants to meet for this, that, or the other, and that's what their focus is on.
All right. So your ISA team, you brought it up. Are they directly working with Follow Up Boss and then connecting it to the agent? And that's all they're doing on a daily basis, or are they actually making outbound calls as well?
So when you say outbound calls, I'm thinking you're meaning looking for new leads via.
Yeah, expired for sale by owners. Yeah.
You know, if I was in a different market, that's all I did in Chicago when I was in that market. And so I'm a big, big advocate of that. Obviously, we're in a huge bull market as far as prices go. So I don't know that I would focus on it today, but I do love that strategy. For us here in San Diego and how competitive it is, we don't do any of that in our inside sales. And that's the biggest reason why, is it just doesn't make sense for the amount of return on investment we would get for that strategy. So they're just doing outbound to qualify leads that we're either purchasing or to coming into our ecosystem organically.
Got it. I love that, dude. Good answer on that one, because it also depends on the market too.
So as
So
far as outbound, they're doing, 6 to 8 calls in that first week on, inbound opportunities, whether it's a form or an inbound call, whatever it is, it's inbound. They're responding with outbound, just not proactively doing outbound to create new opportunities.
got it. And look, he's going to drop a lot of names up here of tech companies, because we are talking about tech and the tech stack and all that. So if you can't write it fast enough, or you're driving, or you're just not in a position to be able to take notes, this is recorded. It'll go on to the Follow Up Boss YouTube channel. So you can go ahead and watch it tomorrow there and press pause, write down everything you want, and take it at your own pace at that point.
I'll talk slower too. I talk fast in general, but I will slow that down. I'll use
No, you're good, man. You're good. So a question from Sarah says, what are you using for transaction coordination that integrates with Follow Up Boss?
So Asterisk, it's actually one of the pieces of the business that I'm working on right now. We started building out Monday.com, and we were going to a point where we wanted to see the transactions inside of FUB. And so I was working with some of that technology. I got introduced to Open to Close. I think he actually reached out to me, Andrew over there, and I initially said, no, we're building something. I did a demo of it, and I was like, shit, they literally beat us to the finish line of what I was trying to build. So we're actually in the middle of doing a pivot right now internally, and we're going to pivot over probably to Open Close to run our transaction management, as it has a two-way integration. Back to what I said before, FUB is our source of truth. So everything we build, that is my easy first analysis when Kyle brings something to me. Does it work with FUB? If not, can Jeff or Daniel or someone out there that does these integrations and builds them? I think you had Jeff speak before.
Yep.
Can someone build? If I can't and it doesn't already do it, can someone make it happen for me? Otherwise, it's an automatic no for me, because it's going to take too much of a resource to build it.
All right. So Open to Close, I think I took a look at it before. It looks like a little bit like Monday, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And that one, do you have Jeff Moore at that point at Osiris? Do you have him create a Zap to make it work, or does it already work natively with Follow Up Boss?
Yeah, so theirs is completely two-way sync with Follow Up Boss with an embedded widget. So my agents can see their next dates that are due. It's automatically thrown on their Google Calendar. And really Open to Close, to me, what made me consider it after seeing it is it's like FUB for my TCs. I was apprehensive. As you know, TCs are very high S personalities. They don't like a lot of change. So I didn't even consider them when doing this at first, just because I didn't want an immediate no. So I finally did a demo and was like, hey, we're almost there where we have to do something. You don't like Monday. We did an overview of it, and they were absolutely in love, just because it has a lot of automations built into it, and it's fully customizable the way FUB is. For example, in FUB, your stages, what I didn't like about previous systems I've used is that they determine the stages and the lead flow in the process. As a good sales company, I want to create that process, and I want the software to support it, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. And so for Open to Close, if you want your stages, you define what the words and definitions of each stage and process is. So it's fully customizable the same way FUB is.
Nice, dude. I like that. All right. So tell me how you're currently using call action, because you brought it up. You say It's almost like it's above follow-up boss in the sense that it probably takes all of the incoming leads, sign calls, everything is dictated as to where they go from there, and the automation is in place, right? So how do you guys use that to help your whole team?
Yeah, and it helps our whole team because back to it, our ISA model is not more important than our agents. It is a leverage tool for our agents. So our ISA model allows our agents to focus on their highest and best use. No one got a real estate license to cold call or follow up with leads. The data is the data. We know that it takes 8 attempts, and I think Harvard Business did a study on it. Kyle actually spoke on stage about it years ago. That it takes 6 to 8 attempts to even qualify a lead. That study didn't say to convert a lead. That's to qualify a lead. So, and that answer rate is only at 42 to 50% if you crush that expectation. So what our call action does for us is it handles those 8 attempts between voicemail drops, phone calls. It does a call to connect when the lead first comes in. It texts them, and then it multi-texts until they come back. Something I would ask my ISA to do anyway. It's making sure that activity happens regardless. And my ISA, which is to me, when I was in the role, my biggest frustration, I couldn't set enough appointments because not enough people were answering the phone. That's why we use Mojo and we use tools like that. Conversations are what convert leads. So if we have the best skilled people in that role, how do we give them more conversations? That's what call action is doing, is it's making the outbound work become inbound work for them. So my skilled people are doing the best activity all the time.
Got it. And
Which
right now,
relates to the agents because they're getting the opportunities from the ISAs. So it's really a linear progression.
I like that, dude. So right now, where is most of your business coming from as a team?
Right now, open house has always been a great lead source for us and just Sphere in general. When I joined Kyle about 2 years ago, I hadn't done any of that in my previous team. We were both from out of state. And so we built a team based on expired canceled FISBOs and then made those past clients. And that's how we built our Sphere there, as we were both out of towners that built a new company there in Chicago. For Kyle, it was kind of the opposite when I came in. They already did open house and Sphere and all the things that you would want a real estate company to do really well. And so now it's becoming a little more blended of generated business that we generate between Ylopo. We're getting a lot of pay-per-click, Google services ads. I think I see every thread in real estate talking about it. If you're not on them, hop on them. And Zillow and Realtor, we're testing everything, right? And just seeing tracking the ROI, hence Sisu, and just seeing really what happens to it. But I'd say by and large, it's focusing on those core. Nothing's really changed. I think the only notable is Google services ads.
Okay. And right now, what tech are you using that's providing leads that's giving you the best ROI?
Google services ads, again, for the people in the back, that is just, I wish I had the number in front of me. I don't want to make one up, but they're highly profitable. What's so nice about Google services ads, it's really it's a two-way street with them. If you don't do this now, you should have someone doing it. We inspect every single Google service ad that comes in. If it's not a buy now or a buyer that we're working with as defined by the program, so a renter interest, any of that is not a lead that you should be paying for through GSA. So, or GSL, I think is what it actually goes by. But we send all of those back and we don't pay for them. So our ROI is by the leads that we deem quality that we're going to work with, not, and you don't have to pay for them otherwise. Unlike any other lead portal that you buy leads from, you're buying for a percentage with Zillow, or you're buying per lead with like Ylopo through Google, pay-per-click. But for these, it's very specific. You only have to pay for what is a delivered lead.
That's very true, man. The ones that come in are bogus on our end. We just call them bogus and they just refund you at that point.
Correct. And I think that's just so to answer anywhere you're working in a two-way conversation with your lead provider that way, I think that's a really unique opportunity in our business.
I agree, dude. That's a good one. All right. So there's some questions here and then I'll go back to my questions. Natalie says, are you using Sisu transaction management? No, I think you answered that one, right?
Yeah, I'm not. No.
Perfect. All right. Sorry for that one late. Marge, it says Monday as well as open to close. Does open to close do the same project management function?
So we're using, and I'll go into it if it's valuable for the audiences. We will still use Monday. I'm not getting rid of Monday.com. It's actually phenomenal for project management as far as our leadership team. And we have I think 14 person right now admin team. So including VAs. So I'm going to keep Monday for that, is what it does for project management, and seeing all of that is amazing. Open to close is purely listing coordination and transaction management solution. we won't use any of that for project management. Now, projects could be those two, but very specifically listing management, contract management.
I love it. All right. Mike says, how do you compare call action to Raiya from Ylopo?
Use both. That's good. That's a really good question. So our agents have Raiya fully turned on, and it's qualifying leads. We actually do have some Ylopo leads if their interest is within that, 6 months, I think is what I have it at now. That goes direct to our agents too, to just feed them opportunities. Our team hasn't always been set up this way, so we want to keep them getting some leads if that's what they were used to. But Raiya's behavioral, she has two types of texting: initial lead texting to qualify, and I think Barry just rewrote a bunch of the scripting with them for that one. And then they have behavioral texting. Maybe they updated that as well. I think that is second to none. You can use call action, and we do for behavioral texting, which what that means is they did an activity on our website. They came back after 6 months. They requested a showing. They favorited something. They did a high-level activity, which triggered the Y priority tag or hand raiser tag. From there, Raiya knows to kick in, and it's embedded with Ylopo. So in my opinion, I don't think that can be beat, and it's dynamic. So we let that run, and then we run call action for ISAs, which in our model it works because our agents aren't using call action. And now that call action messaging is from the agent, and Raiya is the assistant to the agent. So we have basically AI and automation running in tandem.
Perfect. And then Dan, we answered that one. It's open2close.com. You could go there. That one's easy. And so, dude, with all of this tech, how do you fit into it? Are you the person that just makes sure it's running optimally, or what is your specific job duty here?
Yeah, I think it's evolved. When I first came in, it was everything. Deploy it, train it, down to training the agents. What's been really cool is, even Zapier, I know Jeff Moore, but I can work my way around it. Now my entire team of, at least my leadership team, and with 4 people, other people in that group, are all able to build their own Zapier, automations now and workflows. So it's evolving really. Now they understand what's possible, which I think is the key takeaway here. Training everyone what's possible so they can use their own brain to think creatively about the solution. Now they can actually train it because they know the full scope. So I'm really big. Anything I roll out or anything I teach to people, I try to paint end to end, and it's probably an overshare, but I just trust that I hired the right people, that if I give them perspective, they'll know how it fits into what we're already doing, because we just operate really transparently. And so I think it depends on the system, to be honest.
All right. So take me through a new process. Let's say you're bringing it open to close, right?
Yep.
And you haven't introduced it to the team. Are you the one that's in charge of setting up the whole process, making sure that it works from A to Z, and then letting the team know about it? Take me through that.
Yeah. So for open to close, it's a real life example we're doing right now. First thing is vetting out, is it something we want to use? My analysis for that is follow boss integratable, because that's our source of truth. I'm not building anything outside of that for the agents. If it's not, it's a no-go automatically. If it is, let's continue the conversation. Let's see what it looks like. I'm doing the meetings with that company and bringing in the right people from my team. For me, that reason is director of operations, is she understands our TC workflow. I couldn't close a file if you paid me, and she knows our listing management process. So without her, I can't even determine if this is a good product. She comes in and she analyzes and shares with Andrew over there, this is what we needed to do. Can it do that? Yes, great. Now we've just determined at least it makes sense for us. I think that's the most important thing with real estate technology, is that there's so many solutions. And this is what my checks and balances are for what works. It may not work for you. It's just Follow Boss for me is the ecosystem that I have time to build onto. And it might be the best product in the world, but if it doesn't align with that, I think you just got to say no to some things. Just because other people are using it doesn't mean it's the best solution. You should ask, what is it solving? So I think that's just super important nugget right there. But then I bring her into it, and she really teaches the process, make sure it makes sense. And then I'm working with the just key people, whoever it makes sense. I'm trying not to take the TCs off of it because we have files to close. So I'm not really involved until it's ready. So I'm building it out. My job is basically facilitating the people to build the process, because I don't do those processes. And I think that's true for any software.
All right. Did I like that? All right. So can you explain to me the org chart of what the team looks like, so I can understand, and everybody listening in understands where you fit in, and so they can look at like, oh, I got it. I want to grow into that.
Yeah. So at the very top, it's the visionary, which is Kyle, CEO. His job is right there at the very top. And his job is to come up with that big ideas and help the company grow externally, as well as create the culture of our company. Right below him, I sit in the visionary seat, the integrator seat as COO. as well. And my job is to hold everyone accountable in the company below me, and to integrate those processes and ideas that he has, as well as our financial and kind of our business plan. Below me, we have a director of finance, a director of marketing, a director of sales, and director of operations. So those 4 people sit right below me, and I'll post this right afterwards. I didn't have it ready for this, but we have an accountability chart that everyone in the company knows, so they know who to go to for each thing. It's not, nothing's left to question there. Then at those 4 seats, their job is to fully own the responsibility of the key parts of those departments. And some of them, like our sales, has our agents beneath her. She also has our inside sales lead and our database manager. Our director of finance has an HR person that sits in her department. And the whole part of what we call it our accountability chart is not who's boss or anything like that, but who wholly and fully owns the responsibility. And this is a good segue for what you were asking. Who incorporates it? I'm really looking at that accountability chart and saying, well, who handles our tech as it relates to our processes, as it relates to this thing specifically? That's who I'm pulling out of the accountability chart to have those conversations with them.
Got it. Got it. And who's in charge of making sure that everybody stays accountable? Is that you?
It's really everybody. So LMA is what we call it. So lead, manage, and hold accountable. So I LMA our 4 directors, and then they're LMAing anyone below them. And anyone that has any direct reports in our accountability chart is LMAing, and they own it. So let's say my ISA didn't do their calls. My lead ISA, my ISA manager, is LMAing those 3. I don't expect my director of sales. But it all, obviously, we all know in any accountability, it trickles up. If, ISA manager didn't catch it and the ISA is off, well, now if it gets to me, obviously I'm going straight to the director of sales, asking what happened and keeping communication streamlined.
Got it.
But it really just gives ownership. It's really, I think we always look at it as more of a who's boss or who's holding them accountable. Really, it becomes less about accountability over time because we're giving more ownership, very clear ownership out amongst the company to different seats. So it really becomes, if you have the right people, they're owning it, and it's less managing and holding accountable, and really gives autonomy to the right people to own their own processes. It's really became the opposite.
I like that, man. All right. So let's talk about then how this looks this year for you guys. How do you see your position making a bigger difference for the team? And what are you excited about?
That's a fun question. Bigger difference to the team, I think it just, as I've grown into this role and as our other people in the company have grown into their roles, I think the hardest part in any company I've been in is not having clear understanding. What am I allowed to control? What am I allowed to change? What do I have to ask permission for? I think if you have the right people and everyone's operating very in a handcuffed fashion, if you will, I think great people either one want to leave you because they don't like not having autonomy. Like we can all relate to that for getting into this industry.
Yep.
You get a license and you're originally because you want to make unlimited money. You want to have a free schedule. Like there's certain things about going into real estate that even brings you here. So I think putting people in boxes and not giving them autonomy is a really bad idea for anyone that's just interested in this field. And so really what my job does is allow people to have complete autonomy into what they're doing, and just lead by example. And what I do for my role, and just having, for me, my benefit, and what I'm most excited about is as their talents are evolving and they're really getting more freedom, I'm getting collaborators at every specialty because jack of all trades, master of none. I'm slowly becoming less of a master at a lot of things, and I see it. Whether it's Ylopo, things are getting rolled out. I'm not on the phone every day anymore. So I'm more and more removed from what's actually occurring. And so for me, what I'm most excited is to have special experts at each thing to really grow. Now my skill set is growing at such an exponential rate before what it would if I'm the only person. So I know that's not to the business, but that's most what I'm excited about in the role, as I'm having really specialists at everything and letting go of the vine as much as I can. And Kyle, to the same point, he's allowed to let go of the vine from everything in our business outside of growing it externally and really creating a good culture and vision. He's allowed to let go of the vine on all the financials and other things that are going on at this base level. As far as the business excitement, we're growing really fast. I think that's my biggest excitement right now is our ISA model is just hit a 1-year anniversary. So we just now, our first 2 ISAs just hit a year, and just seeing the traction coming from that model. I know there's people like Dan Beer that have been running it for 3 to 5 years in their business, and you can see how that's working for them. Hatch, who actually wrote our call action campaigns, I should say that's a tech plug that, Jesse writes really good base templates if you don't want to use Hatch. But Hatch has definitely helped our conversion on campaigns. Over Robbie, I know you've interviewed him. Yeah, you look at the models that have been doing this for a few years. That's exciting to see where we're going to go year 2, year 3 of streamlining our business this way.
What does that look like year 2, year 3? Well, where did you start and where are you heading with the ISA model?
Yeah, as circles back to a thing we were saying earlier, is that's just the conversion I talked about, 48% on the new qualified lead to permission marketing, which is following up. But we all know on a follow-up, how many times do you go to do your follow-up call and they don't answer? The real math, if you look at call action solution, you're still doing 6 attempts on a lot of anything more than 6-month follow-up. You're doing the whole qualification process again, which if you look at it in the inverse, you're having a lead drop-off rate on the leads you're paying for. How many agents are calling 6 to 8 times? They're not. So for us, the ISA model takes what used to be, I'll use Zillow as a prime example. We know Zillow business converts in 3 to 6 months. That's prime window, and it's about what, 5 to 6% on a portal of that. Outside of that 6-month window, or for a lot of teams, that 2-week window of asking for a showing from Zillow, the fall off of conversion is high. So the exponential growth of our database and what we all preach from the Red Book, MREA, all the way to what any of the real estate coaches are preaching, it's follow-up. We all know that. And it's not just real estate, it's all businesses. Yeah. So I get to have a back office team that owns the company's assets of the database and make sure it's happening by the book for not just the 6-month window we know it's going to convert, but really we have all of our campaigns are 3 years. If they don't respond, it keeps hitting them up to 3 years. And after that 3-year one's done, it goes to another campaign that's another 3 years. So got it. It's unmeasurable for me right now what it looks like, but it's a quality assurance that all of the leads in the database that we deem are that we want to market to are getting hit up appropriately by the book, which just follow through conversion.
Do you have those 2 ISAs handling all of the nurturing and making sure that those Jeff Moore processes are in place as well?
Yeah, so I make sure that the process, I don't want to, I say I work for everyone. That's really my role. I'm number one in charge of being everyone's personal assistant in a funny way. Like if my ISA is my specialist at conversion and follow up and nurturing. So I don't want them to have to, even my ISA manager, if I can protect her from having to build out the process or integrate with Jeff Moore, that's a win for them and doesn't take them off task. So my job is really assistant to every person in this company to let them stay on their highest and best use of time. I'm an ultimate flex player in that.
I love it. You are like the ultimate flex player, dude.
That's my role, flex player. I'll put it in the email card.
that should be the name.
One day I'm in the P&L and finance, the next day it's working with Jeff or Daniel over data, like whatever it is. Like, how do we integrate these two? Where's the need at today, and how do I keep people on their core specialty?
Do you guys currently have 2 ISAs?
4 now.
4 ISAs now?
2 of them had just hit an anniversary. We did a hiring round of 2. Don't quote me, October, November timeframe.
All local or virtual?
Oh, 100% in-house. I have strong opinions on that.
All right, cool. Love that. How many agents do you guys have on the team?
35.
35. Love it.
Growing to 60 this year is the goal.
Nice. I like that. Good year to do it, bro. Now, can you share the org chart inside of the Follow Up Boss community?
Yeah, absolutely. We're very transparent. It's posted in both of our offices, so no issue.
Perfect. And Andrew says, if anyone mentions Chris when signing up for open to close, they'll add 2 weeks to the trial.
There you go. Because I think it gives you like a month and a half, which is more than enough time to test it out and see if it works.
I love it, man. Well, look, thank you for joining us. These are only 30 minutes. We don't want to go over that. And I appreciate your time. And I think we could do like a part 2 or 3 to this too, man. There was a lot. So I'd love to have you down.
Hopefully it's applicable for everyone. I know we're all at different parts of our business. So yeah.
I'd love to bring you on in the summer again, dude. Maybe like 3 months to see where you guys are at.
Yeah, let's watch the growth.
I love it. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.